The hearing is being conducted under the Commission's rules of organization and functioning as part of the evaluation process. The subject of today's hearing is Natalia Bondarenco, a candidate for a position on the Supreme Council of Magistracy Disciplinary Board. The evaluation in relation to Judge Bondarenco was carried out pursuant to Law Number 26, the year 2022, on measures related to the selection of candidates for the position of members in the self-administration body of judges and prosecutors. Natalia Bondarenco is a judge at the Cahul Court of Appeals, has been a judge at that Court of Appeal since 2007. From 2000 until 2007, she was a judge at the Cahul District Court. Judge Bondarenco, welcome, and I apologize if I struggle with the pronunciation of your name. I'm joined by four other commission members. To my left are commission members Lavely Perling and Yuri Gatskin, and to my right are commission members Lillian Ansu and Willem Brouwer. The commission is also assisted by members of its secretariat. You may have noticed that a photographer was present who will just take pictures at the beginning of today's hearing. The hearing will be conducted with interpretation between Romanian and English. To allow for accurate interpretation, I ask everyone to speak clearly and slowly. Only one person should speak at a time. The proceedings are being recorded. The recordings of the Commission's public hearings generally will be available online at the Commission's website, www.vettingmd.eu, within 3 days after the hearing. During the hearing, one or more members of the Commission may ask you questions. You should answer truthfully and completely. Your explanations are important to the Commission in verifying your financial and ethical integrity. At the end of the hearing, you will be given the opportunity to make a brief closing statement. In posing questions, we will consider your privacy and, where appropriate, the privacy of your family members and close persons. So we will omit unnecessary details on such things as ID numbers or bank account numbers, specific street addresses. For the protection of privacy, we ask you to do the same. I will begin by briefly reviewing the evaluation process for Judge Bondarenco. The Commission initiated its evaluation on the 22nd of March of this year by notifying the judge by email and asking her to complete and return an ethics questionnaire and the financial declarations required by Law Number 26. She returned the completed declarations and questionnaire on the 28th of March. As part of evaluating a subject's ethical and financial integrity, the Commission also obtains information from many other sources, such as the National Integrity Authority, the State Fiscal Service, the General Inspectorate of the Border Police, other public institutions, financial institutions, and open sources. The Commission assesses information it obtains for relevance and reliability. On the 6th of September 2024, we notified Judge Bondarenco that the Commission, in its investigation, had identified some areas of doubt about her compliance with the financial criteria and invited her to attend today's hearing. On September 7th, Judge Bondarenco requested that the hearing take place in closed session. The Commission rejected this request on the 11th of September and communicated it to Judge Bondarenco via email. Judge Bondarenco, before we begin other questions, do you have any corrections or additions you would like to make to the answers you've previously provided to the Commission?
On the 11th of September 2024, I've submitted to the Commission an explanation and documents related to the doubts that were submitted to me on the 6th. Except for these documents and explanations, I have nothing else to add.
Are the answers to the ethics questionnaire that you returned on the 28th of March 2024 still accurate as of today?
No. Yes.
Okay. Members of the Commission will now ask you some additional questions. We will try to keep our questions short and to the point. We ask that your answers be short and to the point as well. Commission Member Lavely Perling will start the questions.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Madam Bondarenco, that you are here. You already answered our questions. First of all, let me say that we ask from you now some questions regarding a little bit your privacy, but it's necessary for evaluation. And I hope it's okay for you, and I would like to ask First of all, I explain, we ask the question about potential non-pay taxes by your ex-husband. We would like to ask about 2 cars, Renault and Hyundai. Yeah. But let's start for very beginning. Could you tell us, please, during what period of time did you share a household with your ex-husband?
In reality,
In fact, we have separated households since July 2021. In March 2024, our marriage was officially
Could you clarify, when
determined.
did you get divorced? When did you get divorced?
11th of March 2024, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. But then let's start from non-payment of taxes or potential non-payment of taxes. In 2021 and 2023, we know that your ex-husband received more funds in his account than was declared an official income to tax authorities. We know that all the funds credited to the account of him in 2021 are from his attorney's office and noted as transfer of profits. Yeah. And representing approximately 41,000 lei, more than the net income available to the AO for that year. And we know also that in 2023, 110,000 lei credited to your ex-husband account are from attorney's office and representing approximately 26,000 lei more than the net income available to the office for that year. Could you tell us what you know about the 41,000? Where the 41,000 lei came from?
Honorable Commission, when I received a notification about the doubts that were to be discussed, I asked my ex-husband to explain to me the situation, and he has submitted to me 2 declarations on the income taxes for the people having such a professional activity in the judicial system for 2021 and 2023. From my ex-husband's explanations and the accountant that helped to draft these explanations, I could explain that part of this amount that you talk about, meaning the 29,952 lei, were used to pay the salaries to an employee that had a lawyer's firm. This was included in the expenses of the law firm. This is why it was not included in the income amount and it was not taxed. The other part of the amount was used to pay the bills of the law firm in cash. From the explanations of the accountant and of my ex-husband, all this information is reflected in the income declaration for 2021. I want to tell you that even though we were in a marriage, I did not have access to the financial information of my husband or former husband. All the information that I'm presenting right now comes from his explanations and tax return.
And do you, as a high-level lawyer, share his opinion that it was possible to do it? Do you believe him?
I am sure of that this was the case. He indeed had an employee, and indeed these amounts are reflected in the tax return, the declaration, as expenses of the law firm. And as far as I know, these should not be taxed.
But let's continue and let's talk about gross income and excess payments of office 2021-2023. We know that the office had sufficient gross income to account for the excess payments in 2021 and 2023. Nevertheless, a total of approximately 66,000 lei could be considered as excess payment to the candidate. Could you explain, please, where the excess payment 66,000 came from? Is it the same explanation or this is some kind of different explanation?
For 2023, also from my ex-husband's explanations and the accountants, and also looking back at the declarations, the returns, I could mention that additionally to the amount communicated for 2021, 8,000 lei was used to pay for the fuel at Rom Petrol gas station. This fuel was used for the activity of the law firm. The 2,862 lei was used to pay for the mall operator services used by the law firm, and 14,800 lei was used to cover the utilities. These are the explanations related to payment of taxes for the law firm of my ex-husband that I can present.
Okay, and the office, it was in the same address where your home. Is it correct? Yes.
Correct.
Yes, that's right.
And as I understand that fiscal code in Moldova, Article 90, paragraph 3, says that all rent payment made by persons specified at Article 90 to natural persons were taxed at the source. Accordingly, an attorney office would have been required to pay taxes on any rent payments. Therefore, an argument as to not payment of taxes to do rent payments could not excuse, or what is your explanation?
I can tell you the following. In 2021 and 2023, the same as in years before, and taking into account that co-owners of this real estate, the dwelling where the law firm was located, belonged to me, the ex-husband, and our daughter Alona. This house was located by the state later when it was privatized, and we had a third of ownership in that house. At that moment, when we were a family, we have signed in comodatum contracts. These were signed free of charge. No rental payment was paid. That's why no taxes were paid for the rent of this dwelling, the law firm, basically. I presented the comodatum contracts for 2021 and 2023, which were also received after I received a notification from the 6th of September. So my ex-husband provided me these contracts, which were signed by myself, by my daughter, and by the ex-husband. We do have them, these exist, and it's not only for 2021, 2023, but for the other years too.
Okay, and the last question about the office. Could you tell us, please, that why were the transfers to the natural persons of your husband noted as transfers of profits if they were used for expenses of a lawyer's office?
Also, according to my ex-husband's explanations, I could tell you that this was the formula accepted by the bank. That's why this was indicated as a profit. There were cases when the money was deposited by himself to pay the taxes, and the amounts were higher. For example, for the banking services, if there was a need to deposit an amount of 1,000, he had to deposit 1,100 in order to cover the
Very
service.
simple question. Was the explanation false or real?
I'm sure it was real.
It was real. Okay, thank you. I don't have more question about the attorney office. I would like to continue as Carls, but maybe you have questions about the office, Lilian.
Yes, please let's clarify two aspects. You've mentioned that starting from July 2021, you had a separated household with your husband, ex-husband. So, for clarity, having a separated household, this would mean to share the same dwelling, or he was living at the same address. Starting with July 2021, myself and my children, Alena, who later on, with her 8-year-old daughter, we started to live permanently in the house that we've inherited from my parents. He still lives in the house that actually belongs to all three of us on Hajdovo Street. In that period, we've never been in the house the ex-husband lives. We live with the parents separately. We pay all the bills, the utilities. I've presented explanations, got the explanations from witnesses. I presented explanations for the payment of utilities for the gas, which proves that all the payments were taken over after my mother's death, because nobody lived before July 2021 there. So starting from July 2021, we live separately. We've been living separately. Thank you very much. So second issue, the rental contracts for the law firm. Are these free of charge? Is it mentioned somewhere there? Yes, there is a mention in there. I presented the contracts to you.
Okay, I think we can continue on another topic.
Yeah, another topic. Let's talk about Renault Megane. As we know, your ex-husband purchased the Renault Megane in 2015 for 35 lays and sold it 9 years later, 2024, for 48 lays. Could you please explain us the differences? How it was possible?
At the moment when the vehicle was purchased, it was purchased from a person that was to live abroad from Moldova. The car needed some investment, not significant, but still. There was needed some technical maintenance at that moment. In 2020, 2021, the car was barely used. There was the pandemic, and the car just stayed in the garage. The technical condition was quite good. And my explanations have said about the selling price of the car, that I found about this price from the bank accounts, from the bank statements, when it was indicated that this amount was 1/2 from the price of the car. At that, the moment of negotiations and purchasing, I was not part of. I've received just 24,000 lei on my bank account.
Just to clarify, Judge, did you received half of the proceeds from the sale in 2024?
Da, eu am prezentat conturile bancare.
Yes, I've submitted to you the bank statements.
Eu am primit suma de 24.000
I've received a 24,000 lei for the Renault vehicle with indications saying that this represented half from the price of the car. More details are in the explanations
Noi am avut
that I've submitted.
un conflict
We had a
la,
conflict
la partajarea acestui.
when we had to share this this asset.
But when and where you get the information that the amount was 48,000?
Până la moment n-am obținut această informație, rezultă din
So I received this information recently,
suma de
which means that 24,000 lei
din automobil.
when I received this 24,000, it was indicated that it was the half of the payment for the car. I don't have access to official documents because I'm not part of this contract. The car was registered in the name of my ex-husband. I've discussed with him and he confirmed that the car was sold for 48,000 lei. And if I'm not mistaken, I've submitted the contracts which stipulates this amount. But when the money was received, I had no access to any document, only the amount that was received on my bank account.
Mi-a fost prezentat acest
Later on, I received the contract and I submitted it to you.
Okay, that means that you negotiated about the cars during the purchase deal and later. And now my next question, let's go back to the moment when you purchased the car. 2015, this is 8th of July, you withdrew 60,000 lei. And on 22nd, 7th of October, that means 11 weeks after the withdrawal, your husband purchased this vehicle. You explained that you used only part of money for the car and another part for other expenses. Could you please tell us maybe the biggest expenses, where you spent the money?
O parte din bani a fost
Part of the money was used
pentru nașterea copilului.
for the birth of the child, for buying everything that was necessary, a stroller and everything. Part of the money remained as the money for the child because the money was received as an allowance for childbirth. So it was set aside and used later on during a 3 years period because I was in maternity leave with my child.
Okay, and you confirmed finally that the price was 35,000 lei in 2015.
Da, confirm.
Yes, I confirm.
No more question about the Renault. Would you like to ask, or I continue with Hyundai? Okay. The similar situation. Your husband purchased Hyundai, yeah, in 2021 for 100,000 lei and sold it in 2023 for the same price. What about your explanations here?
În 2021,
In 2021,
noi într-adevăr am procurat
we
acest
indeed have
automobil.
bought this car.
La prima rundă de întrebări, eu am
And in the
prezentat
first round
și
of questions,
explicațiile
I've
persoanei care
submitted explanations of the person from which we bought the car. The person confirmed on his own or her own responsibility that the price was 100,000 lei.
mici defecțiuni.
This was due to some difficulties or defects in the car and the fact that the person needed money urgently, money in cash, and all the amount at the same time to be paid. We paid this amount, and later on, based on the explanations of my husband, because after we bought the car, we divorced, we separated. were separated basically. He used the money for small repair works to change tires, filters, and so on and so forth. I cannot present you some receipts right now because these were not so significant. The spare parts were not purchased in some car shop or with some dealers, just on the market. And indeed, we've negotiated together on this amount with the seller, and the seller agreed to sell the amount for this price. He needed urgently the money, and the car was not in the best condition.
Okay, no more questions.
Okay, it appearing that no other commission members have any additional questions, Judge Bondarenko, would you like to say anything before we conclude the hearing? Would you like to make a brief statement? Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one. Mrs. Bondarenko, I understood that you separated from your husband and lived with your daughter as from July 2021. That's correct?
That's right.
And when did you officially divorce?
In March 2024.
Okay. And then, since we are talking about actions of your ex-husband, I'm very anxious to know whether you had any access to his financial whereabouts. Did you know anything about his finances?
I did know about his financial situation only based on the amounts he was shown to me as income when we were filling in the income declaration. Without any documents, he just used to show me the amounts, his income, and I was entering this as this amount in my declaration. There was no other way.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Judge, now if there's anything you'd like to say, you're welcome to do so.
As a final statement, I would like to say that I've been working as a judge since 2000. Before that, I've worked as a prosecutor. And during this period of time, I want to ensure you that I've met all the duties or fulfilled all the duties as a judge. I was never held liable disciplinary or any other criminal offense, and I really hope that I will be able to work in the future as a judge to fulfill the duties of a judge in the same way.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's hearing. Judge Bondarenko, thank you again for your submissions and answers to the Commission's questions. After the hearing, the Commission will approve an evaluation decision stating its conclusion whether the candidate meets the criteria for ethical and financial integrity under Law Number 26. The Commission will strive to complete its evaluation decision and announce its conclusion as soon as possible. It generally seeks to do so within a month after a candidate's public hearing. That closes today's hearing. Good day to everyone.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.